Start streaming. I had to quickly jump on the YouTube and get the thumbnail and stuff
Oh, yeah.
updated, or else it was gonna.
Yep, and we are live. I just heard my phone go off.
Did you get it a breet?
Yep. Something? Which reminds me, I need to put my phone on mute.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, that's a good thing. I should pop that over to...
I normally do during the show just because I never know when someone's going to send something, and I'm like, I don't need to hear you right now.
Imagine if you like put your notification as "Hey girl, hey," and your phone is just going off all the time. It'd be like, no.
And that is one thing I will say. I do not get the ones that do like people that do like voices and stuff, because I would be freaked the fuck out if like 3 a.m. all of a sudden I heard something like, "You got a message." I'm like, I don't care if I've had the thing for years. The minute I hear like another person's voice and I'm like drifting out to sleep or I'm asleep, no.
Yeah. That's why my stuff's usually on silent, like especially when I go to bed. And even then, it's on a stand next to my so it faces sort of towards me. So if the screen lights up with the notification, sometimes that's an annoyance. I'm like, really? Anyways,
my phone typically is. I keep the notifications on. I keep the sound kind of on, but I turn my phone on on the screen facing down because of that. I don't want the light from the screen to show up. So the only reason we'll see. It's no big deal. It's no big whoop.
All right, are we ready to get kicked off?
Yes.
All right. Then we shall begin.
RuPaul Drag Race.
Hey, kitty girls, it's January 6th, 2019. Happy New Year. And welcome to Cubs Out Loud Drag Race T-Time All-Stars Season 4, Episode number 4.
That's right. Wait. Yes, 4.
AKA Joyzy Justice.
Yes. I don't know.
I know. I probably totally butchered the accent, and like, that's just the way it is, girl.
Well, are you close? I guess you are technically closer than I am.
I don't know. We'd have to map that, like, travel time to get there.
Maybe we're equidistant. Oh, God. Anyway.
Yeah. We've got things to discuss, you know?
Yeah. This was an episode.
Yeah. And there's really nothing to say other than we should probably get ready and jump right into it, because it's a thing, you know?
It is a thing.
All right.
Now, for this week's Maxi Challenge, you'll be appearing on a twisted daytime court show called Jersey Justice.
Yes! Come on, Jersey Justice.
Starring South Plainfield's own Michelle Visage.
Yes!
Oh, yes, of course.
I love that little part where Manila's like, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Who else would be the judge? Except maybe Judge Judy herself, which would, make Rue wet her panties. So
I know, right? It would have been the end. If it had been like, if they had somehow gotten like Judge Judy to do this.
You never know. One day.
And, but anyway, moving right along.
All right, so the girls, there are 7 girls at this point, 7 contestants, and the queens have to team up in 2 teams of 2 and 1 team of 3. And sometimes it's a little shady. But they did it really fast, and there didn't seem to be any like, what, like, where am I going to go? Like, I oddball out kind of thing.
Yeah. I will say this. One of my favorite lines was Monique's like Team Melanin. And I was like, no, shut up. Like,
girl, I snapped at that. I thought that was the best. But she was like, yes, Team Melanin. And I was like, there she go. Like, she calling it out. So Manila and Naomi are together in one group, and theirs was a botched makeover Jersey style, according to Rue, aka "You made me look like a bitch." Latrice, Monet, and Monique are together in a timely dispute between a cake maker and a discriminated customer, aka "How about them cakes?" And Trinity and Valentina are together in a case of stolen identity, aka "I was snookered by Snooky."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Damon, what were your thoughts on Jersey Justice as the challenge?
So, my shit, I can't even get this out. I'm so like we're clapped. My thoughts are really very simple. It was GTL, good, terrible, laughable. GTL was the thing that Ms. RuPaul mentions during her introduction spiel, and then it's from Jersey Shore, blah blah blah. They tell you what it means. I don't care, whatever. Anyway, I just used it because I thought it was funny. There were some good moments, there were some terrible moments, and there were some like laughable moments. And excuse me, overall for me, it was a pretty decent thing. It was an improv challenge, so you always have issues here and there. You have the ones that can get things and are good with it and get the ball rolling and very good. Monique is a very perfect example of someone who can keep going and going and going without like really slowing down, almost not missing the beat. I feel some of the terrible parts were, unfortunately, there were some missteps, I think, in regards to how people were presenting their Jersey-fied character. Latrice is an example of that. Naomi, unfortunately, is an example of that. And I think in a lot of ways, Monet, unfortunately, was an example of that. And Trinity, to a point. There were just these moments where I got what you were doing, but I wanted more. And I think I've said that often on these shows, especially with this season, is I want more. This is All Stars. This is All Stars 4. So I need to see more. And there were some people in particular that needed to step it up a bit. And they had an opportunity here to do it, and they didn't. And then laughable moments just in general were there were just some very hilarious moments. The the kiss between Monet and Monique, where they were kind of like not gonna do it, and then like it just kind of slams together like like that. That I loved. I thought was hilarious, and the fact it kind of went off the ground and everything. And then the fight between Trinity and Valentina, I thought was amazing because it kind of worked with Trinity's character and it worked with Valentina's like personality in general. Like I think everyone would want to fight her.
It's tea.
I'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Okay.
How about you, Gabe?
So I said comedy challenge clownery. Comedy challenges come about. They are a thing, and so I was not surprised that we ended up with this. So like we said, we had Manila and Naomi come out. I wasn't sure what was going on with Manila at first, but then we, get the reveal of the hair. I realized I didn't get a shot of that, but yeah, that was was one of those things that I was kind of surprised by. Like, so Manila's look isn't quite as like over the top Jersey as I think some of the other girls were doing. Like the amount of blue eyeshadow in this particular episode, that really seemed to be like a consistent theme. And I was like, I didn't know that was Jersey. I thought that was like 80 to 85. Like,
yeah. Well,
like,
that's kind of Jersey. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I was really, kind of intrigued by that. And in our second grouping, we've got, we've got Monique and Latrice. So here's my thing. She comes walking out, and Monique has this crown on her head, and my first comment was, "Why she got a crown?" Like this is not making any sense to me, and that never really came across. The thing was that she was going to a high school reunion, and like she wanted the cake or something, and so like I was confused, and I thought, well, maybe she was like homecoming queen.
No, she wasn't going to. She wasn't going to homecoming. That
Oh,
was
no,
that was Manila.
That's right. Manila was going to the reunion. Monique was
her wedding.
Monique was getting married, right?
Yep.
Even more so. Why are you wearing a crown? Now I'm even more confused.
She's the queen, bitch. Crown it. Duh. Sorry.
Yeah, like I thought the gag of the two white people, the groom and the bride on the cake, was so damn slanderous and funny as hell. She was like, she put white people on the cake. I was like, oh no.
They very much kind of, and I have to give it to them. They very much played that, like, hey, you know, all three of us were African American, blah blah blah. They played it very well, and they kind of added a different kind of element to their comedy overall.
Right.
I will say that wig on Latrice looks so damn thirsty. Like, I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, and what's bad is I have probably seen some girl in that wig or something along those lines. Not like a drag queen. I'm talking like a real person, like walking down the street with
just
on
the transit, just on her way from one place to another.
Yep.
Well, and I thought Latrice really looked character-wise when she came walking in. I was like, all right, I got it. Like, I see kind of what we're delivering, but then, like Trinity said, like, she's listening, and Latrice ain't saying nothing, and she's just letting Monique have her spotlight and keeps going and keeps going. And I thought,
and that's the thing. Like,
hopefully this doesn't become a problem.
I that's the thing. Like, I like, while I love Monique and her abilities really to kind of think on the fly and jump on it, and she kept going. And that's the thing. You have to fight when you're next to, especially in a comedy challenge with Monique. You have to. You can't just like, oh, you know, shoot. I know we talked about like everyone getting their part and whatever, blah blah blah. No, this is everyone's in for himself. So like, you gotta grab for him when you can. And I think she had an opportunity. I know she's kind of stopped there for a minute when they were starting, which is kind of typical of like a court show, because you have the plaintiff kind of, you know, gives their case, and then the defendant gives their side. And so I get where Latrice was going with it, where she wasn't as like loud and what have you, but I think she needed to take some opportunity at some point.
Yeah, I agree that perhaps she was demurring too much, like, to real court, because she'd been to court. It was a joke in the show. I didn't put the audio clip in. I almost captured it because I thought it was funny as hell. Where she was like, for those of you that forgotten season 4, I did go to court and to jail. The shade. Like, I thought it was really funny. I was like, "Ooh, I was not expecting that." So, yeah. And then we get Monet, who shows up suddenly as a surprise hostile witness, a.k.a. Alexis. And I was like, girl, you don't look that jersified. Like, you got a lot of gold chain on and you got a big old high titty breastplate, but like, you're like, you look like Monet. Like,
yeah.
So
like, I'm not.
And I think the judges gave a really great critique about, because you came in later, it was all that much harder for you to get caught up and like rise to the level of what had already been like dishing out. And I think if they'd rehearsed it and there had been anybody to coach her, that note would have been perfect, because I think Monet would have known what to do then. But I think because she didn't get that, she just came in at the level, and then it didn't really, come across.
Yeah. I just would have liked, again, this is my thing where I want more. I wanted more. I wanted you to like, I don't know how I would have wanted you to bop in there, but I wanted you to do something, like to come in maybe with a fucking cake or something and just slamming right in her face, like the defendant's face, or not the defendant's face, but in her face, and just kind of go with it and take it up the energy up that next level,
Right.
up that next notch.
Yeah.
All right.
So I want to go back real quick, and I want to give recognition of one of the funniest things I thought that happened in this whole TV show. So between the three of them, I need to recognize that RuPaul Charles had a bit part being the reporter, whatever, not really the bailiff, outside and talk to them. I thought it was fucking hysterical as shit. And at one point, so RuPaul has this big ass like gold piece on a necklace hanging down over top of the undershirt. And from one shot, I wish I could have captured it, the screenshot, there was like a kind of like a side profile. And my friend Drew was here and was watching it with me. And I said, at one moment, I paused it. I was like, she got titties on? Because the way the medallion was there on this side, it kind of poked out the jacket. And I said, it looked like she got a little A cup on. Like she just put like a little sports bra on and, you know, like little socks inside or something. And I was like, that's even more fuckery. Like, you know, like, all right, you go gender fluid, you know, whatever you want. Come out with boobs and mustache, toothpick, hair, like, you know.
Oh my God, man.
Suit the whole bit.
I'm gonna have to watch the episode again because I just want to check and see.
It's really brief. Like, it's only one moment from the one shot, and we paused it and we're looking and we're like, yeah, and then we play it and that's what he goes, no, it's the necklace, like whatever's there, that, you know, big piece kind of like forces the jacket out from the side at one moment, and I was like, oh, but
okay, still, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, it really kind of cracked me up. I mean, between the three acts, I thought that they did really well. I agree with you, like what you were saying, that they were really kind of going in certain ways and stuff. Valentina shocked the shit out of me. I was really surprised. I mean, when she came in, like I was surprised at the beginning of that. We find out that Trinity did forget her name of her character for a brief. She says for a second. And then they're all like, girl, you know how long a second is?
Well, I think there was two things. I think it's twofold. Because, like, if someone asks you your name, like, you could typically give the response pretty quickly. So even if it was just a second, you know, whatever, it does show a lot. You know, maybe you're not as engaged in the character, or maybe you don't remember what fuck you name your character name, which is kind of what I feel it was for a minute. And I want to be like, you need to remember that shit.
Well, then when she said her name was Fisher Price, I was like, oh no, she did not. She did not just choose a toy manufacturer name as her name, which I thought was a really crazy double entendre, because Trinity owns that she is plastic and Fisher Price makes plastic toys. I was like, oh no.
And I think, you know, I will admit that I think their scene was very laughable, and the way it worked, honestly, I loved what Valentina did. Like, she made this, I mean, obviously, like, older Jersey snooky character, and kind of made it her own. I mean, made her kind of a stripper and all that stuff. And I kind of liked what she did with it. And as she said, she was saying in the you know, we were all worried because of, you know, you give us all this pre-stuff, and Trinity was all worried. And I was like, yeah, she said, if I get like the look, I can get the look down. I can get I can get the runway, you know, I can get the voice down. I can get that down. I can do all of these things, but that's it. Like, but I need help with, like, my brain will give me issues with, like, the improv. And I am glad she did what she did. That just is amazing. Like, I know I don't know what all was, you know, put it all together, but it works so fucking well. The tan, like, white on the eyes, or the untanned white eye, and the, like, it just good for you. good for you.
Yeah, I think she definitely kind of delivered, you know, in terms of the looks department of the character. I wondered what the hell was going to happen when Michelle Visage says, "Do you have any proof of ID?" And then I realized a couple seconds in, like, oh no, this is legit. Like, this is part of the script. Like that was known. And she dumps her bag, and all this stuff comes out all over the place. And she's digging through, and she takes a stripper heel, and there's a piece of paper tucked in it, and you unfold it, and here it's a birth certificate. And I was like, okay. And then Trinity turns around, and I thought that was hysterical. Takes the birth certificate and just rips it in half in her face. I was like, oh, girl. Like, yeah. They didn't get clocked for it. I'm kind of surprised. Trinity and Valentina lost their hair in the fight towards the very end of it. Like, something happened and both the wigs came off. And I don't know, like, what was going on. I imagine there might have been more than one take of each group, you know, going through the courtroom scenario. So I'm thinking that might have been the second take. Like, they were told, okay, now we're going to reset. And this time when you go for the fight, just go for it. Just like, all out.
Just
like,
do everything.
Right. Which in that case, I'm like, well, if you tell a drag queen that, they're going to take the hair off. Like, that's just kind of a thing, whether we like it or not on the runway. That's, you know.
Runway is a different place than a courtroom.
That's true.
Wait, turn around.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, that's what. So
That was
Jersey Justice.
Justice.
Yeah. Are we ready to move on to runway?
Yes.
All right.
Cover girl, put the bass in your walk.
All right, so we got the way the girls had their outfits presented. I found some promo shots online. They are going to be in alpha order by first name. So that being the case, we have Miss Latrice motherfucking Royale. The challenge is, if I can remember,
Swerves and curves, padded for the gods.
Correct. So when I heard the title, the theme, I was like, oh, this should be very interesting. It is a bit original. Latrice was not the first one they showed, but because we're going in alpha order, I was like, okay.
Yeah. So Latrice's thing was that, which I can understand as a voluptuous person, her padding was herself. And she did mention during the critique that she was cinched, like she had actually cinched herself in. She didn't like it. She admits that she normally doesn't. So that was kind of the thing, was that the padding is all her. Which, you know, as someone who doesn't usually, when I've done drag, doesn't usually pad as well, I get it. Like, sometimes when you're already big, you don't want to, like, I mean, you can, but yeah.
So yeah, that was a big deal for the theme. Latrice says, like, this is the first time in her life ever that she has been cinched, and you can see in these photos of her standing there that she got a shape. We got the bosom, and then we got towards kind of a waist, and then it comes out, which you don't necessarily get with Latrice. And it's funny because a lot of people were like, well, this is her theme, swerves and curves. Like, who else in the bunch of the pantheon is known as a big girl that delivers, on curves and that kind of stuff? And I couldn't disagree. However, as it was
very basic.
It was, as some people critiqued, this looks like regular Latrice. Like, if you've seen her perform, which we have, and she does, stand and repeat or meet and greet or any of that kind of stuff, this kind of looks, like a standard Latrice pageant kind of look. And it's not bad, as they made fun of from the judges panel. They were like, girl, she is stoned.
Yep.
And and that's kind of now their throwaway line whenever a queen comes out and has a beautiful gown that is covered and stuff. But
yeah,
it wasn't
Yeah, to me, it's very just. It's kind of the same. It's not anything new or different that I get out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said several times in this episode, I want to see more. So step it up.
Then we have Manila. And I'm not highly critical of this, but it wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an intriguing theme that happens with a couple of the queens, that how they interpreted the theme. So one of the things that was said was that, it's padded for the gods. And so there was this thing about how Manila chose this quilted fabric because it's padding. And I think there's a reference to Gautier or something like that, and it's like this French thing, and Carson says he loves how she went from like French poodle in the Jersey thing to this, so she was carrying that through. I got that. It wasn't awful. It's a put together outfit.
Yeah. Pink looks good on her, they said, and I kind of agree.
Yeah.
This looks a lot like reminds me of like something Cher Horowitz would wear, like something along those lines. Or they mentioned Elle Woods in like Legally Blonde, or Manila mentions it. Either way, it's definitely very, not prim and proper, but like that, ritzy kind of look. It works.
Yeah. Then we move on to the parody of the episode. Miss Mona decides to spoof the Kardashian paper cover, the supposed picture that broke the internet. So I honestly laughed when she came out. Like, I think I'd seen like a preview or something, so I knew what the look was supposed to be about, like before the reveal, when she gets to the end of the T of the stage and then turns and shows off that ridiculous shelf booty with the little glass. Yeah. So
I love this. I thought it was perfect for the theme. It was awesome. And when she comes up, when she's walking down, you kind of get the whole, oh, she's padded because her body is big, her hips are big. We know Monet has always been slightly bigger than, she's not necessarily, I wouldn't call her a big girl, but she's definitely a little bit above average in regards to like thickness. So
right. I mean, she's like two Naomis. So
yeah. So like when she comes out and we get like, oh, she's got that figure, and you can see there's some padding going on. Like, oh, I get it. And then she turned, and I lost it. Absolutely lost it, because I was just like, in a minute. I got it. Like, I didn't get it at first because I remembered it after I saw the glass on the ass. But at first I was like, oh, I was wondering, why is she holding a champagne bottle? I don't get it. Okay. Well, this is a nice look. I don't get the hair. I don't understand. Okay, whatever. And then boom. Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good like a reveal in a way on the runway. Like, if you did not remember where this comes from, here's your hint, so to speak.
And I'm glad it stayed on. Like, I guess you had it either sewed or something, because it was
wobbling all over the place. It was weeble wobbling. It was moving when she was walking, and I thought, oh, girl, like, you got to take them itty bitty steps, like, because I was really worried. Like, no matter how you had it attached, I was afraid it was gonna flop. Like,
yeah,
and it just wasn't gonna stay upright.
I just hope not Velcro, because if it had been Velcro, it would have been gone.
True. Yeah, you can only do so much with that. And then we have Miss Monique Hart in the end-all, be-all epitome of brown cow stunning.
Yes.
America, here it is. What else is there to say?
It is so beautifully over the top. Like, that's what I get for it. It's very on brand for her, obviously. It's just like, holy shit. Like, oh my God. Like, this is her. Like, this has always been her. And this is okay. I'm going to put the little thing on. This is her because she's got coin now. Like she's talked about it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like she paid the designers and all that stuff. This is her like elevated in a sense. So kudos to her and her designers or designer or whoever
Mm-hmm.
for coming up with this look. I know I've seen pictures of it like on Twitter and Instagram of the, you know, with the bolero off.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures of that, and she had the different hair, and it was down, and it just, I just, it's perfect. It just works so fucking well.
This is the epitome of what I was expecting, was that, like, to say if you're gonna dragify something and given the theme, I was expecting way more like Jessica Rabbit and beyond, like exaggerative kind of looks, you know, this crazy, you know, like there's Hourglass and then there's just like almost cartoonish. And when she came out with these crazy shoulders and those crazy hips, I was like, and there it is. Like someone got the memo. Like they knew what they were doing. And then
so perfect.
Miss Naomi. So fun, but it's interesting because I've already, some criticisms have been for Naomi Smalls. This is her like curvy like attempt or, you know, accomplishment, because she's so skinny and she never really pads. It doesn't pad to this extreme.
Yeah.
And though the pie's kind of a problem where it's placed at, in the one in the picture on the left that we're looking at here. But you know, if you can see her in profile without the prop, she does look like she got an itty bitty waist, like not quite, you know, like Violet Chachki. So
yeah,
you know, when she came out, I hate to say this, but this was my first thought. I was like, oh no, girl, don't parody The Help. Like that's just, I was like, what are you doing? Like it was the quickest like thought for like a second. And then she's crying because she burnt the pie, like, you know, and she's boo-hooing and carrying on. And I was like, all right, I get it. Like, it's the 60s. You're a horrible housewife. You burned a homemade pie. And you also ruined your dress while you're at it. Yeah, like, I got it. But it was just for the briefest second, I was like, oh, no. That's not what I was expecting.
I did not even get that.
And I don't think that was the intent, but the fact for me it was the fact that she's wearing a yellow dress and holding a pie and she's a person of color. Like those are the three pieces of the equation that made my brain go there, and I was like, "Oh no."
1 + 1 + 1
was like, wow, that is really subtle, like, you know, kind of delivery. I was like,
oh shit, like, oh shit, like that's when you went. And I mean, I will say this much, I do like it. I got it when she came out, and you have her little voiceover kind of going on, and I kind of like it, and it is the most padded we've ever seen her. So she definitely has like the figure, which is great. Is it enough? Not so much. You know.
Right.
I'm not saying I wanted more, but I think for the sake of what the runway asked for, she delivered.
And then we get to Trinity, who I think for some people might have been a little controversial, given what the theme was. I think it was a little confusing that some people might not have picked up on how she was being a little more like subtle yet literal in some ways. Trinity already pads, so the fact that she padded more, I think, was a little difficult to tell because she wasn't going super exaggerated. But you can tell she's got that, you know, out, in, out, you know, proportional stuff going on. It's the fabric, though, the design of the outfit, I think, that was more on the delivery of the curves and swerves with not only the fabric print, but then all of the rippling and the ruffling for the legs, the sleeves, the whole bit in that case. And then, of course, the hair. Now, I was not happy about the hair. I've already seen this hair. Not necessarily on her, but I've seen this crazy kind of cotton candy-ish looking, like fried curling iron pressed, you know, kind of.
Very structured, like.
Yeah.
Very, like, not going to move hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I will say I agree with one of the feedbacks. I think it was photo review. The one thing that I think it was Rajat that said she appreciated that it was all swept to one side. Like we've kind of seen this hair before, and at least we saw something a little different about it. That it wasn't just this centered medallion helmet thing.
Yeah.
You at least shifted all of it pretty much to
one
part.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen this because they're what were those wigs at like Target that you could like buy for like $20 or whatever, and they were like cut out like kind of things. And not that this is the same thing, but this is kind of falling along those lines in a sense.
Right.
I loved this look actually. I personally think it went to the theme. I got the whole that she's a little bit over padded than she normally is. I like that the outfit kind of goes with the idea of the swerves and curves kind of thing. I like that it works really well for me. Very thought out, which I think I've come to learn from Trinity is something that she does more often.
Yeah, she very much strikes me as a thinking queen in that she wants to be sure that she is delivering on message, whatever the message is, whether it be, the look of the challenge or whatever the activity is in that case. So yeah. And then to wrap it up, we have Miss Valentina. Ooh, David, seems like you two might have something to say.
I honestly, I really don't. Like, so being the partner of a costumer, I got what she was doing. It's kind of meant to be like a pattern. It's kind of meant to be like something that she would cut out. That's how they make the dresses and outfits and stuff for for a dress or a gown or whatever. And I kind of got that. I don't think it had anything at all to do with the swerves and curves challenge, other than the fact that she's very hippie, which she has always been. It's nice. I don't really get it. I don't get why she's bald. I don't get why, is she supposed to be like a paper doll? Like what is? Because I'm needing something more than what I've gotten here. And
yeah, I just people were saying apparently she was trying to deliver like a mannequin dress, like dress doll look or whatever, and I was just like, no, this is a mess. Like this is a problem for me. Like you don't look finished, you don't look done, and on top of it, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, I'm like, I think this would have been perfect for a runway. Like, I guess there is a reference to maybe in the 90s, one of the fashion icons did this, like, kind of mannequin undress thing or whatever. But I'm like, it is RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
It is not RuPaul's fashion runway race. So, like, I finally think I've seen where the line has been crossed that fashion means nothing in this moment. Like, and while Valentina is very gifted and can have some really couture looks, no, girl, I can't. I just
This was just very. It didn't work. Like I don't know what she was trying to pull off, but it didn't quite work. And maybe if this wasn't the name of the challenge, like if it wasn't Swerves and Curves, and that's kind of what I was getting off and on throughout the the runway. Maybe then I would have been like, oh, okay, this is really nice. I get this. I like it. It's very much, I hate for saying this, it's very much like a Milk kind of thing for me. This is very much one of those like, oh, this is something odd and avant-garde and very different and very fashion, but what does it mean? It means nothing to me. As someone who doesn't follow that track or that trend. Don't get me wrong. I've watched an episode of Project Runway or two. No, I watched it for several years actually. I get some of the stuff, and I got what was going on here, with the look. But no, it just.
And I understand what you mean that like in Milk was always like really pushing the boundaries and how to like take drag in a direction that has not been seen before. Nina Bonina Brown is another one that everyone talked about that was like going in a totally different direction using crafting and paper and all this kind of stuff. So I get that, yes, you can be outside the box, and I think that's what some of this was, but at the same time it was confusing to me. And one layer of added confusion is like the makeup, like the powder on different body parts, like on her shoulders and part of her legs and her shin. It's like she just took, you know, the spun powder press and was like and just like dabbing, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Like I think she would have been far better served if she had done a paper doll dress look, like had been done, and you're going to be able to remember better than me. Was it Milk that did the paper doll dress
think it
thing?
was Milk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Milk during the talent show.
Yeah. I think that would have been a far better approach to this, personally, but I don't know. I just, it was.
Yeah. It's and you know, like I'm looking at the first picture. Like if I look at the first picture and I like squint my eyes a little bit, and I kind of like I get fashion. I get very much like, oh, that's really like very high fashion, very pretty, very wonderful, and I love it. But then I look at the second picture, and then I look at what it was supposed to be, the runway was supposed to be, and I kind of go,
Yeah.
ugh.
No, I was not a fan in this case. But I forgot to ask you, Damon. So, what was your overall thoughts on the runway, so to speak?
I think I said some great looks. Like I said, we've kind of gone through them and talked about them a bit. There are some very good looks, and since we've gone through them all, Trinity's for me was my favorite. I liked Manila's, and I liked Monet's, and Monique's. There were some very just awesome, like, taking the idea of the runway, like the theme, and then going with it and taking it to the next level. And I like some of these that did that really well.
Right.
So, and what about you?
I said creativity delivered. I thought that some of them, you know, kind of played with the concept and the idea of the theme, and I think Monique was the one who ran away with it. You know, Naomi was creative, but not quite to the same level. Trinity was playing with it, and I thought she did really well, but again, not quite there. We talked about, I'm not sure what Valentina was doing. And unfortunately, Latrice, just like in comparison to the rest of the pack, was not there. And this is where All Stars becomes complicated, because when you put these queens side by side and you see what they brought, I think you can quickly surmise for yourself, like, oh shit, like she planned this. She knew I was not thinking in that direction or whatever. So yeah, like in some ways, I think some people did really well and others not quite so much. Yeah. So that was that was the case of that. So that being what's excuse me, happening and going on. Oh, I'm losing my voice. I know. Fun times. Are you ready to move on to the next section?
Yeah.
All right.
The time has come to lip sync for your legacy. And as Sir Elton John always says,
Good luck. And don't fuck it up.
Message.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes. That was awesome.
That was a great surprise element. I was not prepared for that.
Sir Elton John to show up in this. I mean, granted, he wasn't there, but, you know, like, just to be like, oh, hey, I'll just do this thing. Yeah.
Yes. So there's that. So let's get into this. From the runway, Manila and Monique were top 2. And Latrice and Monet end up in the bottom 2.
Yep.
So we get to the lip sync for your legacy. But before that, we end up with this backstage dramatic act within the show. This is probably one of the most heart-wrenching things outside of the Raven Jujubee lip sync to watch. as two queens who are friends and connected and put together, I thought this was like crazy high on the emotional scale. The Manila and Latrice talk, and Manila is just like coming undone about the fact that Latrice is in bottom 2. And I mean, you knew it was coming because earlier in the episode, I mean, they teased it that, you know, everybody's kind of not hearing jokes from Latrice, and Latrice thinks she did really well. And even Manila was like, I don't think my friend understands that she did not do okay in the challenge.
Yeah.
And then later she says, you know, I might have to think about sending my friend home, which I don't want to do. I mean, so, you know, this very moment I was not surprised by, but still. You have this thing. Before we get into the actual lip sync itself, Damon, you have a thought about this?
Yes, I do. Okay. As a matter of fact, my basically overall thoughts of the lip sync thing was no more tears. And I kind of want to talk about it a little bit more. I get that this is an emotional moment. I get that two people in the bottom that really deserve it. That sounded really bad. Very deserving queens who being on the show are in the bottom. It sucks. It's sad. It's everything. But I think even Trinity is at one point kind of mentions it. Like, this is the game. This is the name of the game, and unfortunately someone has to go home. And I know it's sad, and I know it's, you know, very emotional moment, but still, that's my thing. I don't think, not saying it needed to it shouldn't have happened, but it's very much it's coming from a weird place. If you look at the two who were in the bottom, Monet and Latrice, over the course of the contest, not outside of it, I'm talking about just in All Stars 4, they've not been doing so great. Monet has won. She's been in the top 2 a couple of times. Latrice has never been in the top 2. She's always been either safe or now in the bottom. It's not, statistically, that's not a great game considering how few queens there are. So I say no more tears to say, like, while emotional, it is still a game, and the queens have to play the game. Like, that's how it is. That's how you get the money. That's how you get to the end. And just looking at Latrice's, like, padded for the gods kind of thing, where I thought she could have, like, stepped it so far up. Honestly, if she had gone out in something not like a gown, like, to show off her body a lot more. I'm not saying wear nothing, but I'm just saying, like she's worn, we've seen her wear, like, you know, leotards or something along those lines, something to just kind of have gone with it. That would, I think I would have gotten the theme more than this. And it just was it's a missed mark, and unfortunately she has missed so many marks.
Yeah, and I can't really disagree with you, Damon. I mean, it was very unfortunate that we got to this point. There was also this very interesting whole thing that even Drew was in agreement with me when we watched it, where Latrice says, you know, that I am the most beloved queen. And I saw the look on his face and I hit pause. And then we had a brief conversation about the fact that we're like, bitch, that don't mean nothing. Like, it does not matter that you are fan favorite. It does not mean that, like, you know, everybody thinks the world of you and loves you dearly. It's a competition. You have to deliver. Like, that's just all there is to it. And you know, and so it was this whole back and forth, you know, and I get where some of the other queens were just like, really? Seriously? Like, you know,
like you've sacrificed a lot to be here. You know, you've been in the game for 25 years. I remember those things. These are things that she mentioned. I don't want to go home yet. I get it. Like, but on the same token, like, I don't think anyone ever really wants to go home. Like, no one ever wants to end this, you know, this kind of show. Like,
and she's stating some things that the other queens have already thought. Like, you know, I saw myself going all the way to the end and only leaving with a crown. Really? No kidding. 10 of you, I think, all thought the same thing. So, like, like, you're not really delivering anything special. And there was two things that Latrice said that bothered me, which was in the thing about, like, you know, I've been doing it for so long, which Trinity bantered and was like, I don't care how long you've been doing this. Like, that does not automatically deserve you the crown. And the second thing was that she needed the money because she got a wedding coming up. And that's because they recorded this last summer, and then she and Christopher got married over RuPaul's DragCon New York weekend. So that's why some girls weren't at DragCon, because they was at Latrice's wedding, which I heard was fabulous, and everyone had a great time, and you know they were perfect, and you know, I guess I haven't seen any pictures yet, but I guess Latrice looked amazing, and the food was great. Like, everything's very positive. But I get, girl, like, you know, kind of using that as like as why you need to win. I was like, nobody gonna care.
Yeah, like those are different to me than like the competition. Right. To me, and how do I put this? What you've done before All Stars is what made you put you on the show. Right. That's why you're an All Star. That's why you're on the All Star show. Right. Right. Like that's it. Like that's why you're here. So the 25 years, the blah 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 blah, all the other shit. That's why you're here. Right. In the course and scope of this show, you've not done that great. Right. You were worried last week about you, and it's just the way it is. And I don't know if it's maybe you're distracted, maybe something's going on with you. I have seen better out of Latrice. Right. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm like, you know, like, step it up. Right. I need you to step it up. Yeah. Same with Monet. Like, I not saying that I necessarily have seen better out of her. I just would have liked or expected a lot more. Right. Like her Whitney in the All Stars for Love challenge could have been better. I've seen better. We saw Maya and that was amazing. And I just wanted something better out of you. Anyway.
No, I agree. And, you know, like Drew said in our live chat, you don't get a pass because you are beloved.
Yes.
Like, it's just so true. Right. And like, I knew that was going to be some of the shade of all time to be delivered in the show, that was going to become a problem. Because, you know, one of the things that came up was this concept of who's going to send who home. And, you know, I was like, oh, girl, this is going to become, you know, a problem, you know, and so I'm throwing this in here real quick. So this is going to look a little janky for a moment, but yeah.
Oh, this right here. Ultimate. Come on. Let's do it.
Yeah, so this was a really interesting, insightful thing about the game that's being played, which is that Trinity is talking to Valentina, and Valentina confesses, like, girl, I wouldn't send Latrice home. Who's going to send Latrice home? But that's this whole topic of, like, Latrice is the most beloved queen, and that, you know, she shouldn't, you know, be sent, and blah, blah, blah. And then Trinity decides, So then she asks Valentina, well, what if it was me? And without missing a beat, Valentina says, I'm sending your ass home, bitch.
Yeah, like, I love, you know, everybody loves Latrice. And that was, this was actually going to be part of my, kind of my eye rolls, in a sense. No, my snaps, actually. Right. In a sense. So I won't go about it too much. But this is the thing. Like, Trinity is asking a question about, like, saving somebody, because she just saved her. Like, honestly, she did, kind of, you know. She didn't win. Anyway, no, she didn't win the last week. She sent Gia home. She had Gia. She had an opportunity to send Valentina home, and she didn't. However, and this is where this is kind of going. This was not save me, like, and I will save you later. There was no pact made. There was no alliance formed. There was just you talked to her and you said, I'm sending her home. You told her that Vanilla was thinking about sending Valentina home. Like, you told her all of that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are together in an alliance and that she's automatically going to save you. So, Trinity, maybe you need to Think about that for a minute.
Right, right.
But I get it. Like Trinity is like, oh, what the fuck? Because I get like you kind of saved her in a sense, but
Right.
she has no obligation. And Valentina, at this point, has no obligation to save you.
Valentina has no obligation to save anybody but Valentina.
True.
And that's true of all the queens.
Fact. And facts are fact.
That's true. So yeah, no, I was that was one of the things I forgot to pop this in, so I threw it in real quick. But yeah, it kind of cracked me up. So for me, in terms of the lip sync, I said there was a planned plot line that I want to get to. So it's lip sync for your legacy time. So it's the final two. In this case, it's Manila and Monique end up going head to head, and I found this to be very interesting. So it's The Bitch Is Back by Elton John, however, performed by Tina Turner. So I'm wondering, because we know that there's this music thing that you have to get the rights, I'm wondering if Rue called in a favor to Sir Elton John and was like, hey sis, hey yo sis, I got a favor to ask.
Hey yo sis.
Right. I need permission to use your song that you wrote and you get rights for on my show. And that's maybe when Elton said, well, if you can get me on the show, but maybe schedules couldn't work out. So that's how they did the taped thing. And that's how we got the song. And then, of course, whoever the album, company is that has, the recording of the Tina Turner version that they end up lip syncing to was a piece of that. Like maybe Elton called Tina across, over in Europe where she's living with her new husband. Well, not new, her recent husband. She's been with him for many years, and so they all kind of like maybe three-way called and they worked it out. And that's how we got to this song selection. Cause like the Bitch Is Back is a fun song. And the fact that they got the Tina Turner of it also was very intriguing to me. Hence, we end up with the looks that we have between Manila and Monique. I have to agree, Monique was delivering more on the Tina Turner than Manila was. Kimchi had the ultimate shade comment in the pit stop. She said that she loved that Manila was delivering the Asian David Bowie look for once on the runway or on the stage.
Damn, Kimchi. Come on.
I was floored when I saw that earlier today. I was like, no, girl. Like, that's just... I thought Trixie Mattel would go pee herself. I mean, it was funny. And Trixie's comment was, she's the latest consultant for Hot Topic. Like, they were really kind of giving it, to Manila's look in this case. But,
wow.
So we get... Go ahead.
It's just it's like, I love the looks. They're very like... Manila's is very, I don't get it.
Well, so this is part of my planned plotline thing. So it's Manila and Monique, and Manila says, she's so distraught and she's got to win so Latrice can be saved because she can't chop her. And that all the queens are kind of like stirred up in the beehive of the workroom because they all expect Manila to save Latrice, which means automatically Monet's going home, and Monet's like, that's shady because nobody said this. And I even said it to Drew. I was like, why is nobody on camera suddenly quoting, this is not RuPaul's best friend race?
Yes.
Like that's a thing. Why is nobody quoting it? Because it's Latrice? That's shady. So we get to this moment and then they do the lip sync. Manila's like all distraught and she's like, I'm going to rip the roof off and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Girl, no, you didn't.
I will say this much. It was a good lip sync. It was a really good lip sync. It was kind of one-sided, but it was a really, really good lip sync. I think Manila did the best that she could with the song that she, I think, knew, but I don't think she was able to, she was given a song that it would be really hard for her to completely pull off, given her experience. We know Manila's kind of more kooky and comedy. She's not very much a dancer performer kind of thing. So this song needed that element because it's Tina. You know, it just needed that element that wasn't there that Monique was able to give us.
All right, so I'm gonna play this because if you have not seen the episode and are not aware, and we've already spoiled a bunch, but this is kind of the biggest spoil of all as to what happens with the lip sync. I'm going to segue slightly to the live chat where Drew says, I still kind of think that Manila may not have given 100%, so she wouldn't be the bad one for sending Latrice home.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because Monique wins and chops Latrice.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that is the look of the century. Like, Latrice is not happy. She is not having that moment. She was very surprised at what was going on. And that look is the look, the priceless look of damn. I can't say anything more really about this. I think it was appropriate. I've talked about it several times that I think that Latrice was not on her A game for this All Stars. I was expecting a lot more out of her, and while it's sad to see her go, I would have loved to have seen her won All Stars. She just wasn't. She wasn't doing it. She wasn't doing it for me.
Right. No, and I agree. I mean, like this screen cap is just amazing. How she's got this look on her face, and when it happens in the reveal of who is picked, that this is not a resigned, sad moment for Latrice. She is much more in the unhappy camp. And as an unhappy towards upset / angry / like, I don't want to say, yeah, right. Like, she wasn't full on pissosity, but she was not a happy camper.
Is it nonplussed? Is that a good word?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be fair, like that's kind of been Latrice's theme. And I hate to say it's maybe the edit, but she's definitely been in this camp of like, I'm not here for the romper room fuckery and like all the shenanigans and people, not, being polite and not taking turns and, all the screaming and the cackling. Like she's consistently been shown on camera, like being very negative about people's behaviors. So I'm like,
and given back to Drew's comment, I don't know. I don't know. I want to watch the lip sync again, and I want to kind of go through it because I bet there's probably, you can probably tell, like if you can look at it further, there's probably a moment when Manila like shifted potentially, because when Jim caught the end of the episode because I was watching it live and I came in and he was asking a couple of questions and he was like, so what's going on? And I kind of gave a really quick, because the show was on and I didn't want to talk because I wanted to watch. But I gave him a really quick kind of synopsis of what happened. And he goes, oh, so and then he was listening to the song and he goes, so who do you think won? And I go, it looks like it was Monique because just in what I saw. So I'm wondering if there's a point where Manila maybe saw like, oh shit, like I'm giving it all I've got, but I'm not going to beat that. Like, okay, can I just say this? I'm going to say it right now. I'm very happy that Monique kept her fucking hair on the entire time. And not only that, she was fucking playing with the hair, like doing all the touching it and all that stuff. She very much. I don't know if that was her plan to kind of like maybe fake like she was going to do something with it or not, but it was very much, it stayed on the entire time, and I was very happy about that. Very, very, very happy about that.
Well, a lot of people have commented, like, for the bitch who always throws her hair off, it's what she's known for. She taped that head, she bobby pinned that wig, like, she glued it down. So, which, to be fair, Tina's hair never comes off, ever. No. And is known for being thrown around. So not only was she delivering on the look, she was definitely giving us a little bit of, you know, hairography in that, you know, head tosses and shimmy shakes and stuff that it was just not going to do it. But I agree. There was a moment when she was on that side of the stage and I thought, oh, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Because I thought if there's ever a time you're going to lose the lip sync for your legacy, it's because you threw your goddamn hair off.
Yes.
So...
And that's the thing, like, so Drew, if Monique had thrown her hair, she was throwing that win to Manila, just to kind of hands down, like that would have been it, because that would have been it. I would have been done, because literally, Miss RuPaul told Monique to glue her fucking hair down.
Right. Yeah, so, she totally gave her a note and said, why don't you borrow some of Trinity the Tuck's tape if you have to? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of a thing. So I do want to recognize, Drew said in the live chat, he said, this particular look is interpreted as, bitch, did you not know that I was the beloved? It was like so much said with nothing being said verbally at all. Yeah, so that's the piece. So here's our cast, 3 down, and this week, Miss Latrice, she is now gone.
Oh,
yeah. So we're down to 6. It's an even number. So we've got Trinity, Monique, Naomi, Valentina, Monet, and Manila. 3 M's. I don't know what's with the alphabet thing, but
3 M's, a N, a T, and a V.
Yeah, not a vowel to be found in the bunch if you're going off of first letters. But yeah, so I am intrigued. Next week is a roast of Lady Bunny, which could be really damn funny or not. I'm not sure how that's going to go. And then apparently, and I told you when we started the season, twist number 1, I'm like, there's something going to happen later, because there was a reference to twists, plural. And apparently in next week's episode 5 is the second twist. There is in the preview clip a reference to the rules being suspended. Nobody knows what the hell that means. I'm like, so now there's all this speculation about like what's going to happen. Are the bottom 2 going to have to lip sync to stay? Or, you know, personally, I am fine with a 3-way or, you know, lip sync to stay and 2 of you bitches go home. Like something a little different. I don't know. Like that would be kind of crazy, you know. The fact that it's a suspension, I'm like, oh well, that means like the normal rules. And I even said to Drew, I was like, yeah, but the only rule in All Stars is that you lip sync for your legacy. Like that's really the only rule, technically, that I can think of. So I'm not sure what else we got that's to come in this case. But you ready to get into our closing?
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines, and may the best all-star win.
Snaps and eye rolls to wrap it up, Damon. Who are you giving snaps to? You're muted. I'm like, there's she going. Look at that lip sync. She's delivering. I just not hearing anything. I mean, it wasn't watermelon, but still, you know.
Okay, so my snaps are to the Elton John cameo first of all because I thought that was very hilarious, very fun, and just adds a different. There's been a lot of like very interesting cameos. Like just for example, Stacey Lane Matthews was in this episode as well as the stenographer during
Yes.
this. I thought that was just cute, fun, and she even had like moments where she was falling asleep during certain people's um performances.
She was eating a bag of chips during one
Uh-huh.
part where she was
Yeah.
just like,
Yep. Yep. It was
just like
awesome.
it was one of the popcorn moments. She was asleep at one moment. Oh yeah, it was.
And I don't care if it was after the fact or not. I don't care. It was good. It worked. It just added a little just fun little element to the whole like craziness of the show.
Correct.
I'm thinking I want to look at the audience again just to kind of get a feel for like who else was in the audience. I think there were some pit crew members in there, and anyway, the bailiff was obviously one. So and also to the like I said, the Valentina and Trinity fights. And I put fights because I want the first one, which is the choreographed or whatever staged one that they did in Jersey Justice. I thought that was hilarious. It worked so well. The wigs coming off I thought was perfect. It just all was just like fun and entertaining, and I loved it. The other one is the one that we just talked about a little bit ago, with regards to the whole sending Valentina would send Trinity home. And I was kind of like, yeah. So Trinity, the girl who has been talking nothing but game this whole time, suddenly shocked when someone mentions a game tactic that would essentially send her home. I mean, it wouldn't suddenly send her home, but you know what I mean? Like she's all of a sudden like, oh shit, like this is getting real. Like,
Do you think there's a part of Trinity though that she's playing a higher level chess game by talking to Valentina? She now knows what Valentina's game truly is, though. Like
potentially,
it's a little psychological warfare thing. But to talk to Valentina to get her to show her cards, Trinity now knows ain't safe with this bitch. Like
yeah.
Like she is a competitor like me. She will send my ass home first chance she gets. So
Yeah.
maybe now that we've reached this point and we're down to 6, we're almost at the halfway point. Potentially, we may have reached the moment where it's even Steven, kids. And if you get in top 2, you best send home the biggest competition, not the one that did poorly, not the one who hasn't been performing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not the one who had problems with their performance or whatever. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, get the machete out, cut that thing off at the head, fully decapitate, done. It might be the moment that we're reaching, because that's really where I think Trinity and Valentina are coming from.
Yeah, it's very much that case. And like we've said, Trinity has said a couple of times that she's going to try to play the game as fairly as possible, which I understand, and I get that. All's fair in love and Drag Race, my dear. I think that's kind of the thing I want to present to her, where this was something that I think you weren't necessarily expecting, but girl, like it was gonna happen. It's bound to happen.
Right.
At some point in time, someone's gonna be in the bottom and one of you might be in the top. That's just kind of maybe how it would go.
Right.
So don't be surprised if someone sends you home.
Agreed.
For me, my eye rolls are I put step it up, no more excuses. And this is kind of a overall theme for me for this particular episode, and pretty much all of Drag Race All Stars has been, is I want more, and I need you to give me more. So everyone needs to step it up. Valentina's outfit was awful. I hated. Oh, and I also hated her moment during the emotional scene where she kind of takes a moment and calls out. She doesn't know who. I just forgot her name. Erica Ash is, who was the one of the other judges. So she calls her out like the girl with the bun, and she's critiquing her. Like I said, calling her out and how she didn't get her outfit, and I want to be like, bitch, this ain't the time nor the place. I am not that kind of person sometimes, but to me that this is not the moment. We're in this like very emotional, like everyone's all sad and upset about who's in the bottom and who's the top. And I can understand why everyone's upset and everyone's sad because it is two, to me, very great queens who have had some missteps in this season. We've established that. So they have that moment and agree, like I said, like, let's have that moment and let's move on. We didn't need all the other crying and bullshit, but that's just me.
Right.
And for Valentina to then just take this moment, because Valentina's in her own fucking world. We already know this. And so on the flip of that, to kind of continue my arrows is, as I've been saying over and over, this is not new. A challenge or two may be new, something odd may be different, but a lot of the stuff that they do is always something rehashed in a sense. We're about to go into another roast of another person, famous-ish for Drag Race history, kind of thing. So you should be prepared, or you should be able to tell some fucking jokes. You should be able to have some kind of comedy element to it. You should have done something. So I don't want to hear any excuses next week about how I'm not funny, I'm just pretty, or whatever like that. I don't want to hear any of that. I need you to get in this game, step your pussy up, and go. This isn't new. That's my thing. This isn't new, and that's where I'm at with it. Like, this is not new. So I'm not gonna be upset if you end up in the bottom because you didn't know how to tell a joke.
Yeah, I can't disagree. So for me, my snaps, I called it leaning into fun. I thought this episode was very comedy based, and most of the time that was delivered. Like that queens who got it understood it and did it, and that was consistent. You know, I mean, some of them, you know, were, you know, kiki, you know, and that kind of stuff. And like the one thing I didn't put it in, you know, was which this is shady, but when Trinity says to Latrice, she's like, where were the jokes? Like, I thought it was funny that she said that, and then I was like, oh shit, like that was really like she was being super shady to Latrice's face while Valentina is painting her face right next to her in the mirror, and I was like, ooh, yeah,
it was good.
That
like,
was
very good. Like, and you know, and Trinity was like, you know, if you want me to be honest, you know, and she kind of started it with that way, but you know, like, where were the jokes? And I liked the way it kind of was delivered. It was delivered it wasn't delivered like it was in the, you know, in the confessional kind of thing. It was very much delivered like, I didn't hear any jokes. Where were the jokes? And she's like, and Latrice is all like, yeah, I was funny. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
So, and as for my eye rolls, like, and these are the judgmental eye rolls. These are just eye rolls. I wrote cray, cray, cray. There was some crazy delivered up in this episode in varying ways. Like, there was fun crazy. And then I have to say that Valentina moment, that was some cray-cray. That was some cray-cray delivered on screen. I'm going to say it again as many times as necessary, because this was my thought that just came to me, Damon, was, all right, Pheromone is gone. Gia Gunn has left, who is causing all the drama, and now we have Valentina picking up the cray-cray train and hogging the screen time. Pheromone accused Gia Gunn of creating, you know, a whole thing just so she can get the visual. And I was like, wow. When that happened, when they were back in the workroom, I was like, oh, you are just coming for it, aren't you?
It just seems so, like, random, because like the way she started, like she's like, my blood is boiling, or something along like something along those lines. And I'm like, girl, what's wrong? Like, what are you so angry or upset about? That had to do with the conversation that was going on at the time. Not a damn thing. There was not a damn thing that you were upset, angry, or mad about that
Yeah.
had anything to do with the conversation that was going on right in front of you.
Yeah.
Crazy ass bitch. In her own world, like just in her own world. Like,
Oh, definitely. She is living her life in her telenovela version of Drag Race. Yeah, I was like, nope, 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 not a gonna have it, not gonna have it. That being said, to wrap it up, if you would like to get in touch with us between episodes, you could go to our blog, which is cubsoutloud.com. You could also cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Use that as an email to send us something if you would like. Or you can call us and leave a voicemail message at 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. If you want to follow us on social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that kind of stuff, type in Cubs Out Loud as one word. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, by the way. We appreciate that, as we're using that as our base for now. If you want to chat with us socially, you can join Telegram as a social media chat platform. It's like Facebook Messenger, but better. You can go to tinyurl.com /Telegram. That's TELEGRAM -COLDR. Yeah, I see you're a Shade fan. I'll own it. If you want to support Cubs Out Loud, you could do that in various ways. You could go to our Zazzle.com /Cubs Out Loud merch store, where you can get things like this, like, nice Cubs Out Loud hat. We do happen to have a logo for Cubs Out Loud Drag Race on there as well. And for us, if you would like to give us the money, honey, you can go to patreon.com /Cubs Out Loud, and for as little as $1 a month, you can join Patreon to help us pay for domain hosting and all that kind of jazz. Also, on iTunes, you can rate us, you can give us 5 stars, leave a comment, thumbs up, all that kind of deal. Google Play Podcast, subscribe, pretty much anywhere, that you find us, that you like an audio version of listening to us. Or if you happen to have a podcast player that does video too, you could potentially get that. I got to talk to Jeffrey and see if we can set that up. But obviously, if you're watching us, it's probably over on YouTube. You can see all this stuff. That being said, Damon, where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
If you wish to find me, I'll be on the Jersey Turnpike. No, seriously. Honestly, no.
Well,
never. Actually, if you wish to find me, I am Theater Cup 79 on most bear sites like Growler, etc. Or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter.
That was some tasty tea. If you would like to get in touch with me, just pretty much type in Gabber73 somewhere online, someplace. You'll probably find a profile or something in that case. That being said, we're going to wrap up this season just like they do on the regular show, listening to Born Naked by Miss RuPaul herself.
I'm telling the truth now. I'm telling the truth now. All born naked and the rest is drag. Who do you think you? Who? Telling the truth now. Who do you think you? We're all born naked and the rest is drag.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Love it.
Oh, and so welcome to the post show, everybody.
Hello.
Drew said something in the live chat. I wanted to make sure that I said to you, Damon, if you didn't see it.
Oh,
His
what?
theory about the suspension of rules: the lip sync winner can send anybody home, not just the bottoms.
Ooh.
So lip sync for your legacy, just like usual. However, the winner can choose any of the remaining 5, or or the bottom 4.
Yeah.
Other 4, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It would be even more scandalous if they could send any of the other 5 home.
Yeah. Even the person they lip synced against, like that would be it.
That would be
Like,
the crazy.
That would be the shit, like right there. Like, I would die. I would be dead. Dead-a-dead-a-dead-a-ding.
Well, that's something to think about. And I'm going to stop streaming.